Cryptocurrency, NFTs, the Metaverse. Everyone, welcome to our show, the Star Tech Podcast, and I'm your host, Mr. Aurelius. Right now, we have a very special guest who has volunteered to be our tour guide for the future, the next millennium, and he goes by the name of Mr. Tim Botnugger. Mr. Tim, how are you today?
I am feeling great. Thanks for having me here, Mr. Aurelius.
Thank you so much. So, Mr. Tim, may you please tell your viewers and listeners out there who you are and what you're all about?
Yes, sure. So I am somebody who's new to Dubai, but I'm very excited to be here. And, I'm the co-founder of what we call Payverse. It's called With the Infinite Possibilities.
Okay. And I just want to talk about the metaverse for a moment. Now, we all know that this is the universe in the digital space. So may you just please tell us your verse of what the metaverse is?
It's a fascinating place to be. It's the future. I believe this is where a lot of future transactions, virtual reality, a lot of sort of shows, mainstream media, or everything will start to happen as we immerse more and more ourselves into the future. There are some stumbles, especially with the recent sort of, backtracking by Facebook, but I genuinely believe Web3 is the place to be.
Okay. Now, when we actually think about the metaverse, especially when you're a teenager, we just think that the metaverse is kind of like a video game.
That's right.
Like, from a PlayStation game, like Grand Theft Auto.
Right.
Or when people watch the movie, people think about The Matrix or Inception.
Right.
But eventually, of course, business people want to get involved. Businessmen, investors, entrepreneurs, real estate agents, you name it, the money world. So we just want to ask, how can financiers be involved into the metaverse? How can the metaverse help?
Oh, that's the fascinating element to it. And I mean, this is what got us piqued our interest in here. Because what we are trying to do is introduce luxury assets into the NFT or the blockchain world. So as part of our roadmap, what we looked at is giving people access to these kind of spaces in the metaverse, right? So when the digital or technology or entrepreneurs are looking to sort of encash or get into this world, they are looking at truly just, the word escapes me right now, a monetary value, right? So when they're looking at the monetary value, they're wanting to sort of monetize their assets in there. And one way to do it is to buy, as a lot of celebrities have done to date, to buy the land in the sandbox or to build a virtual sort of a house, a cinema, a clubhouse. And Yuga Labs, better known as Bored Ape, are the pioneers in this space. And generally, they are changing the world.
Well, you mentioned about celebrities, and before the show, you and I discussed about certain entertainers that actually did use sort of like the metaverse into their own platform. And we mentioned this in our previous guest. His name is this famous rapper. I just want to see if you know who this famous rapper is.
Let me guess. It's Snoop Dogg?
Yes.
That's right.
I think Snoop Dogg was going to be the main topic, so he might be in the show one day. You never know. But anyways, maybe just explain how are celebrities so excited to use the metaverse into their platform?
See, I mean, it's in my opinion an amalgamation of the virtual and the reality, right? They cannot be in many places at one point. But right now, if they have this sandbox, a virtual clubhouse, everybody can go in it, whether you're set in Asia or whether you're in South America or whether you're in Europe or in the Middle East. I mean, this is the way they are trying to kind of, connect with their fan base.
Oh, okay. So in other words, that you don't have to physically fly somewhere to go to this famous place or this famous location. You can just simply put on a headset and choose your own body or choose your own avatar per se, and just participated through there. You're just there within the next 5 or 10 seconds.
Yeah, I'll be very honest. Nothing beats the thrill of being in a real Snoop Dogg a concert. But nevertheless, I would take a virtual sort of session with him live in there any day.
Okay. Now we also want to talk about that you're also an investor. Am I right?
Yeah, I would like to think so.
Yes, and we just want to ask you to simplify, just to all the listeners and viewers out there who don't know much about business terminology, assets and liabilities.
Yeah, sure. I mean, assets in simple words is something that you own, something that appreciates or grows in value and gives you a financial return. Liability is anything that takes money off you and doesn't give you a financial return, right? So, yeah,
So, because in your website, there's a key word, alternative asset.
that's right.
What is that?
So alternative assets in the mainstream world is everything such as your bonds, your ETFs, your sort of, REITs, etc. What we are doing, or when we describe an alternative asset, we are looking at the paintings, the watches, the cars, the real estate, and we are trying to bring that onto the blockchain.
Oh, okay. All right. And what should people prepare for in the future? Because it seems like the metaverse is trying to become like the real world. It's going to become like the new iPads. It's going to become, like you said, Web3, the internet.
That's right.
But it's going to be 3D. It's going to be realistic.
That's right.
And you mentioned before that it's going to change the landscape of the future.
That's right.
The digital age.
That's right.
So what should people prepare for the metaverse? Because you also discussed some challenges as well, like challenges that people have to face. So can you share that other side as well, too?
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, it's it's a great question. But to look into the future, we have to go into the past, right? So when I think of what is happening right now, I mean, considering my own age and graying beard, I look at what was happening in the late 90s and the early 2000s, right? Nobody thought the mobile phones that we use today will be everything and anything and just the one device that we'll need. So we are at the cusp of something remarkable about to happen, right? So they are the naysayers and they are the doomsayers, right? So and both sides are right in their own format, because there's a lot of fraud. Because with advent of anything, you look at when social media became mainstream, when sort of Ponzi schemes became mainstream. I mean, there has been some big frauds that has happened, but that doesn't mean that investments didn't go ahead. So what is happening with Web3 or NFTs or the cryptocurrency or etc. right now, it's slowly you're starting to see the birth of the real projects, right? So the pump and dump, your wash trading, your kind of hyped up projects that do not have inherent value have started to fall out. Because the regulators are starting to catch up. I mean, it took us 3 years to set this company up right. But because it was like any traditional real investment that you and I look at, we look at it with the same lens. Do we want to deal with this company? Do we want to deal with this founder? Do we want to deal with this investor? So we take a lot of pain in sort of verifying who transacts and how they transact on our platform. So yeah, I mean, this is what is happening.
So with your company, Payverse, how does Payverse solve all of these issues for the clients? How does Payverse facilitate?
That's I mean, I wish, and someday he will be probably my co-founder and business partner, Steve Aryan, who's based out of US, is here. He's a great passionate in a word called, or passionate user of a word, frictionless. He got it, and that's what we are trying to enable. Right now, we only release an asset or an NFT that is asset-backed. So it is always one-to-one. There's no fractionalization. You and me can't co-own a product. So that is that. We are trying to give price transparency because a lot of luxury assets for the mainstream user, they do not have the price transparency around it. You go to the second-hand or the gray market and you start to buy it, but you don't know the authenticity of it. So we only work with the brands that introduce their asset directly onto our platform. That means it comes directly from the source to a brand. It means they connect directly to the consumer, and to a consumer, it means they connect directly to a brand. So and we remove all the middlemen in there, right? And at any given time, you can burn that NFT and you can reclaim the underlying physical product, or you can continue to trade it as an asset on the mainstream sort of platform that we have at this moment.
And there's another key term that we also forgot to use: Payverse.
Payverse.
We all love that word, pay.
That's right.
So we just want to ask you, why is the company called Payverse? I saw it from the website, but I just want to hear from your background, your story. Why is it called Payverse?
It's a fascinating story. I mean, this is goes back many years when Steve and I were sipping coffee and we were sort of, thinking what is our next gig basically going to be. So through his childhood, he's been playing a game of Dungeons and Dragons, and the term paladin is used there. So paladin is nothing but a knight in the medieval times that could do no wrong, right? He was the perpetrator that he had to protect the interests of the people he served. And that's how we named the thing. Verse is the universe, metaverse, you name it, everything is a verse. So we've taken our name paladin, taken the first and amalgamated it with the word verse, and we call it metaphy, right? So meta and physical, because we are dealing with both elements.
I've realized that in most of this interview, the keyword you've been using a lot is NFT.
That's right.
Why is NFT important? How is it different from Google image per se?
That's right.
And why should clients even care about something like NFT in this day and age?
No, it's a fascinating subject because of the crypto winter, or the several scams that have happened over the last, let's say, 12 months. But NFTs is nothing but a non fungible token. So what that means is it's only one of its kind, but we have a one of its kind asset. So whatever we release on our platform is one of the last, one of the greatest, one of the rarest thing. So it is only a digital title to that physical underlying asset that you are trading. So yeah, NFTs are the way for the future because they are on blockchain. You can verify the whole transaction history. You can understand who's owned it and the prices ever paid.
So it's kind of similar to copyright?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's a copyright on steroids.
And I just want to ask you, since you seem very wise throughout this entire topic, are there any wise gems you want to share to all the listeners and viewers out there about the metaverse, about the coming of digital age? Because you said that right now we're still a predecessor. We're still in the first stage of this digital universe called the metaverse. Yeah. And there's a lot of things that people have to be aware of. This is going to be the new world. This is going to be the future. We're in the Jetsons right now without the flying cars.
That's right.
Yeah, we're Star Wars without the lightsabers. That's all I got. But yes, but coming up next is what is like the wise quotes that you want to share to the public out there? What should we prepare for? What should we invest in right now?
I'm going to quote somebody else. I mean, the CEO of BlackRock recently said that blockchain is an extraordinary technology searching for an ordinary use case. And that is what is happening. So when you are in the world of NFTs, blockchains, cryptocurrency, whatever it may be on Web3, do your due diligence, like any wise investor would do. Know who the people behind it are, where the company is located, what are their backgrounds. Like any robust investment, you and I do. We go out there, we understand the process. You just don't go and buy the car of your dreams or the real estate of your dreams. You go do a thorough vetting. But in the Web3 world, it's a lot of FOMO that drives this, or fear of missing out that drives this. But I still say you do your vetting before anything.
And what is your website so people can study more?
It's simply payverse.io or payverse.io.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Tim. It was such a pleasure for you to be on our show. Well, you have heard it from the guest himself. NFTs are copyrights and steroids. Brilliant comparison. We are broadcasted weekly every Friday. You have now listened to the Star Tech Podcast. I am your host, Mr. Aurelius. Have a great weekend.